Pledge of Allegiance, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lucy, will you call the roll, please?
Ginger Shea.
Here.
Deanna Zwires. Here. Sarah James. Here. Frankie Schwartz.
Here.
Jeff Schneider.
Here.
Rich Barton.
Here.
Carolyn Sprague. Here. We have a quorum.
Full house.
A full house.
Thank you. Okay, I would entertain a motion to amend or adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Deanna. Is there a second?
I'll second. We're fighting over it, Joe.
Go ahead.
Okay, Ginger seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We do have our board norms there, just to remind us. And we're gonna do recognitions, and the first thing we have is a list of retirees.
That's right, so we'll be recognizing our retirees tonight, and I don't see a whole lot of them here, but I know we have at least one.
I see one.
So,
Maybe
but
I'm
we'll still
missing somebody.
read them off and how long they've served here. So our retirees are Dr. Sandy Borgman, she's been here for 7 years, there's a Director of Special Education. Alfred Wheeler's been in food service for 8 years with the district. Randy Kinshu was a high school social studies teacher and coach for 9 years in the district. Greg Williams was a high school teacher and coach for 9 years. Gloria Calloway also served in food service. So we had kind of a food service graduation party here. And then Helen's with us tonight. So Helen Farrago is with us for 11 years in the district. That's a long time. Thank you very much. Then Del Stefanski was here for 12 and a half years. Carissa Stark is a counselor, is here for 20 years in the district. Karen Ratterman, 23 years. And Rita Rickers, our longest serving person, 24 years. So we're very proud of all of them and thankful for everything that they've done for all of our students. And we have a certificate, and we'll do a picture with Helen, and we'll push that out. I think you might be the only one. So, there you go.
They all must have took their vacation.
They must have.
Yeah. They're all gone already on vacation.
Thank you for.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
Thank
for all
you.
of your service to the district.
Thank you.
My 10-year pin, do I show up in August to get my 10-year pin? I heard it.
We'll get
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you for letting
Special
me know.
order.
Yeah.
Oh, she'll be here.
Thank you, Miss Helen.
Yeah.
Hey, Helen, we might have one here. You guys want to go back?
Okay. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and leave. Thank you. Thank you.
You can use that, you can use that door out there too.
Thank you.
Bye, Helen, thank you.
Okay. Next thing I have is public comment. Do we really need to wait for Lucy to get back for
No,
public
no.
comment?
Do you
I
have
don't
the-
think
do you
so.
have- do you have the list?
I have
Okay,
one,
yeah.
yes. It would be Mr. Mike Shaw, who is going to talk to us about the ACES competitions. Thank you for coming, Mr. Shaw.
No problem. I probably could have done this last month, but there's a lot going on. So better late than never. ACES competition. ACES stands for Academic Challenge in Engineering and Science. Proud to say that we took first place in the regional competition, so we got to move on to the sectionals. Our whole goal is to beat Washington because they're pretty tough competition. These kids go and take college level tests, and it's just a competition of brain power for all these kids. They have to pick 2 subjects out of 7: chemistry, computer science, English, math, physics, biology, and engineering design. The sectional competition was in-house, virtual. We took 2nd place in the sectional competition. 14 kids made up the team for sectionals, and we had 11 out of the 14 medal. So
That's
I would
awesome.
love to read these off so that they get recognized. These are pretty much some of the best and brightest in the schools, so I do want to recognize them. Grant Beekner took first place in physics and third place in biology. Roy Briggs took first place in computer science and second place in English. Uriah Kester took first place in physics and third place in engineering design. Jesse Hackman took first place in math and second place in physics. Alice Briggs took first place in English. Autumn Caldwell took second place in chemistry. Luke Roush, third place in chemistry. Raya Cullum, third place in English. She tied with Abby Palmer for third place. Wyatt Claiborne took third place in math, and Merrick Owens took third place in physics. So it was a wonderful outcome for the sectional competition. State competition took place in Eastern Illinois, in Charleston, Illinois, 3-hour drive. But that was in person. I think from here on out, everything's gonna be in person. The virtual things, technology doesn't work out, so they'd rather it be in person. The state competition is basically the state of Illinois. This is where the competition originated, but we had 3 schools from Missouri, us, Washington, and Clayton. And for Illinois, I mean, most of the schools that were at the top were from either Chicago, Springfield, Bloomington, or Carbondale. We were in the middle of the pack as a team, but I am proud to say we had 3 individuals medal at the state competition, which, again, looking at the schools that were there, it's fairly impressive. And they are all 3 here tonight. We had Roy Briggs, second place in computer science, Alice Briggs, second place in English, and Uriah Kester, 5th place in engineering graphics. So I want to recognize them. They did medals. I say kind of because, well, you'll figure it out. You guys will get the real medals later when they mail them to us.
Can we,
They didn't
Greg,
mail
can we
them
do a
to us
picture
yet.
with them?
Yeah, sure. But-
Those are my kids, I want you to know. Those 3 are mine.
But yeah,
Congratulations.
I don't know where you guys want to.
Come
Yes.
stand
Yeah,
by me
yeah.
and picture. How are you? It's good to see you. Good job. I'm proud of you.
Guys, good moments. This was the only proper medal that they made with us. You two, I'm fighting to get yours later. Sorry we have nothing else, but it's not my fault, I promise.
Mr.
Give me
Shaw,
another
thank
fun,
you.
guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Shaw, thank you for your leadership of that group. I'm really happy.
Co-sponsor Rebecca Jones, she
Yeah.
helps me out
Wonderful.
tremendously, so she
Thank
makes
you.
some credit as well.
Good job.
No
Thank
problem.
You make us proud.
Thanks,
It's
Mom, Dad.
hungry.
Thank you.
It's hungry.
Thanks, kiddos. Thanks
Thanks
the
for
parents.
being here.
It's awesome.
I'll be fighting.
Good stuff.
See you guys, thanks.
I think we are ready for superintendent reports, correct?
Correct. There we go. Okay. All right, so federal programs, so we were very pleased to have federal programs to report on this year. We weren't 100% sure that was going to happen, but everything came together, and now federal funds are being released, which is good news. Tonight we will talk a little bit about Title I, Title II, and Title IV. Those are the federal programs that the district receives. Title I is school improvement, Title II is professional development, and Title IV is 21st century schools. And so Title I this is the definition of Title I, to provide children with basically even opportunity across the boards, regardless of income of families. So anyway, here's just kind of the numbers that we've received over the last 5 years. as you can see, it's declined slightly every year. And we made some adjustments to what we were doing with our Title I 21-22, where we had transitioned a title position to a Title II position with a reading specialist to be within our budget. And we still spend more in Title II than we do, or in Title I than we do receive. We spend more than we bring in. And that's okay, because we can transfer funds from Title IV and Title II to cover that cost. And Title I is really where we want to have our funds. So we're fine there, even though you're seeing that decline. It'll be the same thing that you're actually spending more than we receive in Title I. And that's why we did make the switch a few years ago, to try to be more balanced in the titles. So current positions, we have Title I. We have 3 instructional support teachers at Dana Boone, 3 at Becker Boone, 3 at Warrior Ridge. And we're required to spend more money per pupil at schools that have the highest rent reduced lunch. So we do have to make that happen through salaries and where people are. But it's worked out fine so far, so that's good. Other items that we pay out of Title I, parent involvement, so at the elementary levels. Now Title I is only at the elementary level right now, and so we paid $6,324 in parent involvement. Homeless is $5,000, and that's district-wide homeless. And then non-public schools also receive Title I money because the money follows the child, and so non-public schools this last year received $14,395, and that's mostly the Holy Rosary. I think all the Holy Rosary. Title II, this is basically professional development. This is kind of the definition of that. And this is kind of our funding that we've received and our projections. Again, we saw an increase slightly in 21-22 in Title II funding, then again in 22-23, but it dropped. Our allocations have dropped to 23-24. But we definitely have plenty of money in that account to transfer over. Now we will transfer $20,000 roughly to, it might be, depends on how the actual budget comes in, how much carryover we actually have. But we will typically transfer $10,000 to $20,000 from Title II to Title I, sorry, saying that backwards. And what we do is we pay for a literacy coach out of the Title II funds. That's the bulk of it. And we also pay for some professional development as well out there, but mostly it's our literacy coach that is paid for out of Title II. So that's pretty good use of funds there. Title IV, so this is all the things for Title IV. But we typically use number 3 there, use of technology, and that's how we pay for our Canvas program, which is our learning management system. So we've been using, Canvas came online about 1920 and then 21-22, so that's kind of how that money is used. And so we transfer the difference of that to Title I to have a balanced full federal programs amount. So that is federal programs. Okay, any questions? So our goal is to maintain the same level of services, so no changes. Okay. We will go to school climate, then our next one. I know you normally have a change of voice and presentations, and it kind of breaks up. Tonight you get just me, so let's scroll down just a little bit, Lucy, there. There we go. I know this is a little bit small, but this is in your report. The color codings kind of help you see where we are. This is much better looking than it was last year, so I'm feeling confident. So green means we've gone up, yellow means green means we stayed the same or gone up. The left column is the average, the medium, and the mode, and then all the questions that we ask. So this is teachers and nurses here, and for the most part, we're seeing things stay the same or improve. We do see a couple areas that dropped slightly. Have you received good praise? We do this survey quarterly to try to get feedback, and we share this information with the principals to really try to make sure we're having a great environment. But what's kind of interesting is to see the differences between the 3 measures of center. On the mode side, most of them are all green, where they all stay the same or got better. Average, you see a dip a little bit here and there, but for the most part. So what I really look for is across the board. If I see something drop in all 3 categories, that's when we know we've got kind of an issue. Overall, I was pretty pleased with the results for this year. We're definitely seeing improvement for sure. And so that's the teachers and nurses. So we go on down to our certified staff to the next, or our classified staff. And what's interesting here is the averages all were kind of in the yellow, but all the medians and modes were almost all in the green. So there might have been an outlier that threw off the average there. But overall, there's nothing across the board that was concerning. For the most part, if you look at the median mode, this looks really great. And then the averages, they do dip a little bit. And then we look at our administrators. You know, we're kind of a little bit more of a mixed bag there, but again, our averages are down a little bit, and then as the median and modes are looking pretty good. But again, this is something that we don't just do one time and kind of forget about it. It is something that we do survey quarterly and share with the principals and talk about it and try to find ways. The question that I really am focused on is, do you have a best friend at work? That's the one that I really want people to enjoy their work, have friends at work, feel like they can talk to people, and have a good culture, a good friendship, fun place to work. So those are things we're all trying to work on.
So you said that they do them quarterly. Is this based off of all of the quarterlies combined?
Good question. This is the last one that we gave. So this
Okay,
is
so
this
the
is
last
the end
quarter.
of third quarter. So we don't do it in fourth quarter because everyone's gone. But what we are seeing is, if you scroll up to the top of the teacher one, we are really seeing some fatigue on surveys. So when I look at last year's surveys, we had, so this is support staffs, we had, that's fine. Keep going up. It doesn't matter. That's good. So in all of them, we're seeing less responses. So last year we had 122 responses. This year we saw 81 responses. So I just think we're kind of getting some survey fatigue. So I'm not 100% sure if we need to adjust what we're doing there, but we're definitely seeing just people not filling out the surveys like they used to.
Well, some of these average drops concern me because, and the fact that you say that they're dropping on taking the surveys kind of correlates, because some of them are like, do you feel heard, pretty much, in the
Right.
community and in the district? Do you feel like your opinions count? So if you're taking these surveys and you're already saying a 3.7 out of 5 is not high for me,
Right.
and to say that and then to be like, well, they don't count, and they're throwing out another poll, like, but
Sure.
nothing's really changed. It's,
But what's interesting on the mode there is the most common answer was 5, was the highest mark.
okay.
So you kind of have to look at all three measures of center, determine what's good or bad. And that's why I put all three up there, because average you might have one or two people that have just put everything real low. This brings the average down, but that really doesn't change what most people feel like, which would be the mode. And then the median is really, okay, let's take out all the outliers and try to find the middle one. So what I look for really is dips across the board. If I see something drop all across all three, that to me is how an indicator, but I agree with you, I wish that was higher. I 100% agree with that.
More so the administrators as well.
Yeah.
Because having them view our district lowly, I understand that.
Yeah,
that
big
may-
drop there,
That
right.
may just be outliers, but we don't have that many administrators.
Right.
Like,
And that's why one question can really change your average considerably. Right. Because when you go on the average one, on the administrator one, if you scroll down, let's see, I think we only had,
this is-
what do we have, like 15? Yeah, 14 responses. So one person could drop it a lot.
Yeah, that's half the amount of responses as
Right.
last year.
previous year.
So it's skewed so much easier.
Right. That changed the averages so much more. And that's why you have to really kind of look at all three measures at center to determine what's going on. But that is definitely, when I saw that too, I was like, well, that's not good, for sure. But overall though, when I looked at last year's compared to this year's, we're seeing more green than we've seen in the past. And also on the just retention is another number. I know that's not part of climate necessarily, but right now we're tied for our best year of teachers. I believe 1920 was our best year in recent years of not losing teachers, and we're tied to that same number right now. Now there's still a few more months left in the summer, but it's looking like a good year of retention.
Other than just providing the feedback on climate, are there action steps that you take after the survey? How do you work with that?
Yes, what I do is I meet quarterly with the building level administrative team, and so we'll sit down and this becomes a topic a lot of times, especially when we see something that drops, and talk about it. And then from there they'll say, okay, this is what we're working on to whatever culture issue is that we need to focus on. It's what we talk about, and they come with plans. A lot of times they'll take it back to their leadership teams. Every building does something a little bit differently. It's not hard and fast, because every building has a different personality, really. And so they try to work with their staff to determine how to improve in areas that they feel like they need to improve. And so that's kind of the process is. So first we get the data, then we crunch the data, send it out to them electronically, they review that, and then whenever I come around and meet with them quarterly, this is typically a topic along with their building improvement plans.
Thank you.
Just that teacher's one kind of hits hard. I know that you said to focus on all of them, but that's definitely one that went down on all, and that the average or the mean would be a 6 out of 10 on rating our district.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, it's not. And so, like, your comments are like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. And
Well, yeah, sure, but compared to where we were, to only have one question below,
It's so hard to
It's-
know
okay.
when you don't have, when there are a lot of people not choosing to fill out the survey.
yeah.
It's hard to know where they would answer. Like, maybe the people who aren't filling out the survey are like, well, everything's fine, so I'm not gonna take time to do it, and that would change the numbers. Or maybe they're really discouraged, I don't know, but.
And sometimes one building has a lower, this is the district combined.
Mhm.
And so one building will have more people that are not happy about something that might influence the district numbers. But overall, though, when we look at the whole picture, it's either staying the same or improving for the most part. There's definitely areas that aren't, and definitely agree with you there, but overall.
Is there a comment section available in this?
No, we just do the numbers on it. I don't think there's comment.
Do, do building administrators get to see the results
Yes.
from their building
Yeah, they just see their building.
specifically?
Yeah, we break it down specifically by
That's
building for
good.
each one.
That's good.
Right, and then we do that each quarter, and they get their information. So they get some feedback. But I think our biggest number, and the one that I always focus on, is just retention, are people staying here. That to me is the biggest number. And if we see ourselves losing 40, 50 people a year, that's a problem, where our goal is retention. And right now, we're seeing pretty good. I think we're up to about 32, I think, teachers right now. So we're tied for our best year in 1920. So I'm curious how that turns out at the end of the year.
Anybody have any other comments or questions about the climate evaluation? If not, I guess we're ready for the financial update.
All right, this is our standard monthly report, just so everybody knows where we stand. Okay. Yep, so moving on. So operating revenues are coming in really, really well. The big thing here is just the interest payments that we're receiving from our surplus funds. And we'll get over more in depth in that at the end of the month, but just to put it in perspective, the last 3 months, we've been getting over $80,000 a month in just interest payments. Last year, all of last year, we got $12,000. Like, what's going on? This is great for us, but definitely was not budgeted that way, for sure. So that's why revenues are looking much higher. But anyway, so that's good. And the expenses are about the same. And then we have the fund balances, of course, up. This is our chart that we always look at, the fund balance chart. So the blue was 2 years ago, where we were really bad financial shape, and then got things squared away, and we're looking pretty good this year. I think we'll end the year, we've got 1 more month to go. It'll probably trend very similar to last year, so we'll probably end up a little higher than we were last year. So probably 37, 38% ending fund balances would be my guess, maybe 39. So that's right where we want to be. Okay, so revenue again. So local here, the local funds, that's going to be our, we receive more in taxes. Our surplus funds are way up, and when I mean way up, I mean way up, which is great. County funds about the same roughly. State money's up. That's transportation is the main reason for that. We're receiving full funding in transportation. Of course, federal is way down because we're not receiving the COVID funds, and then our total budget there, $41 million, it's a little less than last year. So May, we are, expenses are right where we expect them to be. So salaries are right there, benefits are right there. Purchase services are up about $1 million, and that's the food service facility that we have built. And then supplies are down slightly, so that's kind of where we are expenses wise. And then Fund 4 for our capital projects is about 1.4 million. We spent a little bit of that. We'll probably spend some more of that down. We will spend some of that down over the summertime, so probably see that number drop. But that's finances.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda with the amendments to the personnel sheet.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the amended personnel sheet. And we need to do this by roll call, because some of us have abstentions to do. So Ginger,
Aye.
Deanna. Aye. Sarah.
Aye.
Jeff.
I abstain from the consent, or from the personnel sheet.
And
Otherwise,
otherwise,
vote
you
aye.
vote aye. Okay, Rich?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
I vote aye with an abstention from the personnel sheet. Okay. I'm scrolling.
There's quite a few.
I know, old business, but I was trying to get through all the consent agenda and make sure I didn't miss something. Policy approvals.
Right, so we have some policies we talked about last month. We have a few that are MSBA recommendations that basically comply with new state laws that are out. And then we have a few modifications that we made to MSBA's based on trying to keep things consistent with what we've been doing, basically. And then all the other policies that relate to negotiations are been updated.
Is there any limit to the amount of organizations that could come to us wanting to put on the agenda, talking about the organ donation stuff?
I think we'll have to do one time for the statute, I think says one time, 30 minutes. That's
Yes.
what we have to allow.
Yes, per meeting, per year?
I think,
per-
I'm not sure on the statute, I think it's just,
I'm not seeing any.
yeah, I think it's just per year, but we've already had one.
We've already had one
Right.
recently. I
Right.
should know if this was
Right.
now this is what our, I should know if there was a limit.
Sure, well, 30 minutes is a long time too. Like, it's,
Yes, it is a long time, and it doesn't look like there's a limit.
yeah, that would be probably a question for our attorneys if we would want to deny somebody.
And it was informative.
It was.
I'm not
yeah,
saying
yeah.
anything against
Right.
it. I just
Yeah.
also want to protect our
Sure.
agenda.
Right, and I also appreciate them not taking all 30 minutes. They were-
Yes,
they were great.
true.
Are there any questions about any of the things on the list? Any comments before we vote, before we have a motion? actually?
How does someone figure out that they have paid $2,000 in school taxes? Because they're paying taxes and it's just like this large, it's this amount of money. How do they know that $2,000 went to the school?
Well, it should be a line item
It
on
does?
the tax
Okay.
bill.
Line item,
I've never
yes.
looked.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
When you get that from the
Oh,
county
okay.
assessor, it says
Oh,
school
great. Then
and
that's what I would
fire
know.
and, mhm.
Yeah.
But that is a change, that 80 acres was long-standing rule for if you had 80 acres in the district, you could send your kids here. And in the past, we've had cases like that. And, but that is no longer the case, and this changed to just paying $2,000 in school taxes.
Do we know if we have families currently that have the 80 acres
No,
and how
we
they're
don't.
coming? We don't?
No.
Okay. I know we're just complying the law. I just didn't know
Yeah.
if this impacted any families
No.
yet.
So I have a few questions on BDDH-1.
Sounds good.
So on that one, there are a lot of nays in the Senate bill that came down, but it looks like we added those to our policy. And one of those would be that they have to meet with the superintendent prior to having the item added to the agenda.
Okay, which number are you on there? I'm just looking at the rules.
So the rules, the only one that says that they have to do it is, like, the items must be directly related to the governance. But if you go to like the policy that we're going to vote on,
Yeah, and I think we took that one out, I hope.
under agenda items, the second paragraph, it says residents who wish to place an item on agenda must first meet with the superintendent or designee to attempt to resolve the issue.
Yes, we would, that's what we would like them to do, is at least reach, if it's a complaint about something, at least talk to us so we can try to solve the issue first.
Right.
And typically, that's what would happen, is they would call, be upset about something,
Mhm.
either talk to Brad or myself, and we try to figure it out, and then they would say, I'm really upset, and then they would say, well, if you don't like our decision, you can always talk to the board about that.
Right.
That's typically how that goes.
It says that unless the superintendent or designee waives such a meeting.
Right.
So it looks like there's an ability for an item to be placed on the agenda if the people agree, like, oh, we don't have to meet before then.
But sure, like if somebody would come to me and say, hey, I want to just talk about whatever, I would say, okay, well, that's a meeting, you know.
The reason I am more passionate about this one is you guys know that I did that twice
Mhm.
in the past year as a civilian, not on the board. And so what I really appreciated was that there was a way where I could feel like I could communicate with the board
Mhm.
in a way that I was not only just heard, but I could hear your opinions as well. And so placing any restriction on that seems to impede the, community involvement and the discussion that we have in place. So that was my thoughts on that one. I really appreciated that I was able to send you this very long-winded
Oh, sure, yeah.
email with everything that I kind of wanted to discuss, and you're like, it's on the agenda. I was like,
Yeah, and, you know,
Right,
it-
and I think that's a good example of when you would waive the meeting.
Right.
He had all the information he needed about what you wanted to talk about. He felt like it was properly presented and could
Yeah.
be discussed at the meeting, and so,
Right, and I
it
think
wasn't, you weren't bringing like a specific complaint about something that had happened or with a specific staff member or something. That's what we have to be really careful about.
Sure, and I think that the next paragraph down, because typically if you had an issue that you want to talk about, that's not like we have a problem with the discipline decision at the middle school, let's say. That sort of stuff, we want to kind of work through us so we can try to resolve that. That's not really a board issue. But the next one, if there's a topic that's a general topic, that's not, we just like this policy change or something, then someone could put that on there 5 business days beforehand, and then we would place it on so that the process would be the same. I really actually don't think this would change how we operate, and that's what we kind of try to adjust the policy to make it how we operate now,
right.
and still be within the law.
Yeah, got rid of the 5 minutes, which was,
Sure, and we also got rid of the, had to be part of the agenda, so there's some things we took off.
It looks like, if you keep reading in that second paragraph, it says, if the superintendent or designee waives the meeting or does not meet with the resident within 20 business days. So if the superintendent were just not doing it and
Sure.
it's been 20 days, or, everyone, either both of them saying no, or if the resident is not satisfied with the meeting's outcome, the resident may submit a written request to the board secretary to add to the board. So it sounds as though the community member would still have power to be able to put things on the agenda.
Yeah, because I was thinking about you whenever I was reading through this, because it was good, it's good. And I was like, okay, would this still operate the same way as it did before? And I kind of, my interpretation is that it would, but I can see how others might see it differently. We can change it or however we want to do that.
I'm fine with it. I mean, Jeff, you also spoke in front of the board before you got on the board.
That's true.
As you read this, do you feel as though, given the circumstances that propelled you to do that, do you feel as though this would not put put out any guardrails to stop whenever you were trying to do it?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it allows for anyone that wants to come before the board, whether it's public comment or getting something on the agenda. I think it allows pretty, I guess, what would you say? It's not very restrictive,
Okay.
right? So,
And they were requiring action from us whenever he came.
Well, I think we actually had an action item on the agenda that time.
Yeah,
so-
but they came and spoke. I just remember them being
Yeah.
part of it.
But the one thing about this community is even when we disagree, we're able to come together. and move
Yeah,
forward.
yeah,
That's-
yeah.
That's a real positive of this community.
Okay, we don't have a motion yet to approve the policies. We can still discuss, or we can have a motion and a second and still discuss, or ask questions, or go for a vote. It's up to you all.
I'll make a motion to approve the, as presented.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the policies as presented. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I think Sarah beat you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the policies as presented. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Policies are passed. Now we get to talk about graduation.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up the weather, so feel free to pull up your favorite weather app.
I've got it right.
Yeah, yeah.
Why does it have to
Connect,
rain?
Lucy.
Why?
Lucy and I practiced this earlier, so we'll see if this actually works.
Oh, boy.
Try, okay. Hey, it did. Okay, so this is my favorite weather app, which is the NOAA weather page. So, because I love charts. So anyway, what we have here at the top is the temperature, this is the wind, this is rain, sky cover, precipitation potential, and this is the amount of rain we're supposed to receive, and this is thunder. And
Oh,
so-
lovely.
Right, right, so there's potential for thunder. So the start time here is Saturday at, I believe that's 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. So 9 a.m. So we start Saturday at 9 a.m. We end on Mondays over here. So if we look
It just
at,
gets worse and worse.
yeah, just what the weather is saying at this moment, on 7 p.m. on Sunday, it's supposed to be 78 degrees, with heat index of 78, and rain likely at 60 to 70%, and a thunder chance at 30 to 50%. So looks like rain
Mine says 20%, 75
at 7.
at 7.
Yeah.
It says mostly, and I use WeatherBug at the golf course on a daily basis, and it's pretty accurate,
Yeah.
but I think they're saying that there's probably a 30 to 40% chance raining around 5 and 6. So people could use their umbrellas to, if they want to come sit through that. And then I think graduation between 7 and midnight will be pretty dry. I mean, they've changed it every day this week, because I've watched Ken Earnhardt every morning, and,
You talking Saturday?
yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching it.
And then it's
They
supposed to
have
rain
pushed
2
it.
inches on Saturday night, Sunday morning. It's supposed to get 2 inches of rain by Sunday's done. I know that's when they're calling for it, so.
And that's about the same numbers I'm showing here, it's about a little less than 2 inches, but yeah.
They've changed it about every day, because I
Oh,
was kind
it
of
changes
concerned as
all
well.
the time, yeah.
As a former golf coach, I laid awake a lot of nights waiting for weather to change and stuff, and,
Yeah.
you know, so. I don't know exactly. I think the main thing probably would be to, just be prepared to delay it if necessary in the evening. I mean, maybe 30 minutes to an hour or whatever, until maybe everybody could bring their own small hand towel to wipe off their seat, because we already have the seats there. I mean, that's just.
Well, my app says it's more predictable at 5 o'clock
Yeah,
through the evening.
yeah.
Mine
Which-
says the opposite of yours.
Mine says it's
Which one do you
gonna
use?
start
I'm looking at
raining
the
at
Fox
4.
2 weather app, which is usually pretty accurate.
what are our options? So we're currently scheduled at 6 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you.
7.
Seven.
Seven, so you could, do it in the morning, there is ACT going on, that morning, there are no seniors taking it though. There's no rain or thunder in the forecast at that time. You could move it to Sunday, after the rain's supposed to be over, 7 o'clock. During the middle of the day, it's gonna be kinda hot, but that's an option. Let's see, that's supposed to be 82, 83.
It's not as hot as it looked like it was gonna be a couple of days ago.
Right.
I mean, they lowered the
Right, and the
forecast.
sky cover there about that time is 65% sky cover, so it's gonna be fairly cloudy.
Mhm.
What time were you looking at? I mean, out of all the options you said, Sunday is not an option just because I think that's when the majority of the storms are coming. They're telling you it's city
Well, and I
city
know-
soccer and the baseball game might be
I know
canceled.
people who are leaving the Sunday for vacation,
Well,
like
that's what I'm saying.
seniors and stuff.
I think Saturday morning, because people should be in town if they're coming anyway. So the earlier, I thought you had said there was a student that was involved, but there's no seniors.
They checked it out this week, and that senior is no longer taking the test.
Okay, then I think that would be your best option to start it then, and if necessary, but I think if you're gonna do that though, we have to make a decision to do that today and get that
We
announcement out so
do.
people
Right,
can
We
get
do.
it.
the plan would be, whatever, if we decide to move it, Dr. Ross is gonna excuse himself and go make a phone call to the entire community.
Yeah.
And
There you go.
let everyone know what the decision
Because I'm
is,
sure
while we
they all
continue
wanna
with our
know.
meeting.
We'll do it together.
Does that,
Yeah.
and does that, so since we have a counselor and the administrator here, does that affect you guys in any way, shape, or form as being ready?
Everybody's good to go as far, I mean, yes, we're good.
Yeah, that's what I figured, but I wanted to make sure that was publicly said, that you guys were not in any way put in a bad situation there.
Because nobody's reporting tomorrow being Friday, and other than us showing up the scheduled early time when we were going to for the afternoon, we would just move, we'd be here early in the morning, and that's not a problem. I just want to get it for the kids.
Yeah, it's
So,
important to do it.
What time, if we did it in the morning, what time, 9?
I'd say 9:30 probably, because it takes a minute to get everybody there lined up and everything. I wouldn't want to start any earlier than 9:30. We started at 10 last year, and it got pretty hot by the end, if you guys remember.
There was a cloud at one moment.
Right.
Yeah.
We
right,
all felt that cloud.
Right.
But wasn't it hotter last
It was
year? This
hot.
is,
I
10
think-
o'clock says 74 degrees.
Yeah, temperature wise, it looks really good.
Yeah, my temperature
I think-
says 70, 73,
I think we
77.
could do 10.
Yeah, if you wanted to. Yeah, so 10 o'clock, let's see, I've got it going from, let's see here, 10 o'clock, it's at 75, then at 11, 77, it'll be about 80. Now, now we do have a little bit of overcast skies, more so
Yeah.
about a third. Last year was clear skies.
Yeah,
The sun
there's
was
gonna
on
be
us.
some clouds, so that should help some.
If we started a little earlier, it gives us a little more window maybe of no rain.
Right.
A little earlier.
If we started at 9:30.
Oh, I see,
It's just a thought, but.
yeah.
I think if we were gonna do it, I'd rather just do it at an even
Yeah, like
hour.
10, yeah, rather than on the half hour.
Well, yeah,
I don't know, just,
Indoor's not an option, right?
No, it's just,
No.
we just don't have
What's,
space.
and it, just for my own knowledge, what's the average attendance at graduation?
About 2,500.
Yeah, okay.
Like, we have 2,000 chairs on the field, and that counts for the students. And then we have about 2,000 seats in the stands. So, and we have about 2,500 people there probably.
Way to get that.
I have a question, are we sitting on the stage this year, or are we
No, we'll be
still-
off the stage just for space,
Okay.
so everybody can fit. It's hard to get everybody up there.
Well, it's hard for me to go up and down
Well, we can
the
get you on
steps, but,
stage.
you know.
We got the board president, you're more than welcome on stage. So we'll have a chair for board president. and
I just don't
make
wanna
the-
fall off those steps.
Sounds great. So
Make a
Eric's
big
got that modification
dent.
down, so we'll have a chair on stage for board
Is
president.
that a true story? Is that what
Yes,
you want?
yep,
I gotta let John know.
Yep, one more chair on the stage.
Okay.
So I don't have to stagger up and down the stairs, Eric, come on, help me out.
No, I think I'm fine.
It's no matter what day or time.
I just don't wanna fall and make a spectacle.
I understand.
It's embarrassing.
And-
Okay.
And 10 a.m. have been used previously for.
Yeah, that's what we've done the last 2 years.
What's
So,
that?
At 10
is
a.m.
Up to-
Usual.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now back to normal.
Someone like to make a
That's not really
motion?
been normal for the last.
Right. I think we voted to put it in the evening to get back to normal.
Yeah,
Right. Then it rained.
yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to move graduation to 10 a.m. Saturday morning.
Okay.
June, what, 10?
10 on the 10th.
10 on 10.
There we go, that's easy. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Gee, I was waiting for you, I think. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to move graduation to 10 a.m. on Saturday, June 10th. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, here you go, Dr. Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, we'll be
we're
ready
marching
shortly.
orders. All right, I think we're ready for new business. And looks like curriculum is up first.
Yep, so just so you know, we are gonna be getting a call here in a minute, so if your phones aren't silenced.
Right.
Might wanna do that.
I'll just get,
And you can probably ignore that call.
yeah.
So, curriculum, yes, so our curriculum teams met this year, they worked, we work on math and ELA every year, so there's always adjustments there. But the big writing was done for PE and health and social studies, and all of those are aligned to the Missouri Learning Standards, and so that's, the curriculum there. And as always, you can find our curriculum on our website, any courses, all courses, try to be very transparent in that manner.
Yeah, I clicked through so many of these and it seemed pretty simple, straightforward, and so I was grateful for the amount of information that was there. I know that some people in general would want to see every assignment, every quiz, every test, they'd like that, but this is still a lot of information that people can.
Sure, and there's a lot of information on our website too that might not be included in this specifically, so we're just improving the standards, but the assessments we won't release for obvious
Sure.
reasons. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want kids to get their hands on the test and then they know the test before they take it,
Well,
that's not the point of the test.
And when you're actually teaching, sometimes you have to add an assignment, you
Right.
know, because like kids didn't get it the first time, and so you have to reteach it and add
Right.
something that maybe wouldn't be
Right.
there, but it would be similar to what's there.
And our goal is to have flexibility for teachers to have their own personality in their classroom. We really don't want to get to a canned, you say this, use the words you say all day long. We want we trust their professionalism to do things. Now, if people do make errors, we do address that, but that's rare. It really doesn't happen very often. Not saying it doesn't ever happen, but
Right.
it,
I make a motion to approve the curriculum as presented.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the curriculum as presented. Does anyone have any other questions or comments before we vote? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Now we need to talk about the bond issue.
All right, so we got a little presentation here just to get everybody up to speed. There's not a lot of changes from this, so this is, the board has seen this a couple times, but just to make sure everyone has an opportunity to see it. Again, so this is our enrollment the last 5 years. It's been pretty steady, so we're not seeing a big jump in enrollment, but we're seeing houses coming up. So anyway, right now the need isn't here today, but I think it will be soon. And so when we look at our enrollment by grade levels, our largest enrollments, now this is last year's data, so 8th grade is now in 9th grade, so our highest number of kids are in high school and not our lower grades. Kindergarten enrollment, I believe, is already higher than last year's kindergarten enrollment, which is kind of, I think we just had a down year from last year for whatever reason. Then we have the high school numbers, which has 1,000 kids, middle school, Warrior Ridge, Dana Boone. As you can see, we have some imbalances at our elementary schools of how they're balanced. Dana Boone's smaller than Warrior Ridge, so it'd be nice to balance those out. Then we look at capacity, so the blue is the number of enrollments, the kind of orange color is how many more kids they could have. If you had all the kids in the exact number of classrooms, you had 25 kids and the perfect number of classrooms, and the math works out perfect, you know, that would be the capacity there. So not a great number to look at, but you can kind of see there's more capacity at Dana Boone than there is at Warrior Ridge. Middle school and high school have plenty of capacity space, and early childhood has none. There's just literally no space there. But when we look at classroom space, this is probably a better gauge of what's available in the building. There's no additional classroom space in early childhood. Dana Boone has 3, Rebecca Boone has 2, and then Warrior Ridge has 1 open classroom right now. And that 1 classroom is being used by Youth in Need pre-K program. So if we could take those out, that'd be our available classroom. So if we go up enrollment, we'd have to cut the pre-K program in those buildings. So this is from the assessor's office and talked about just the new sites assessed as residential in our school district. And as you can see, every year it's gone up, and 2022 is a big year. So I'm curious how 2023 turns out, but that was big. So we see growth coming for sure, and most of that growth is right in that space. That's a map of our district, and that's where the majority of the growth is. And this might be a little bit old data too, but this is already approved sites that are working on. We've got the apartments, the homes over in Truesdale, we've got the homes down in Pinckney. Those are all being built and sold, dirt's being moved and all that. 97 homes over by the park, and I saw dirt moving there the other day, so that's going forward. The apartments, haven't seen much dirt moving up there or anything happening yet, but it's approved and will be on its way. So that's about 911 new living units that have been approved that are coming to us, we know. And so right up north is where our school is, right there. So that's kind of the growth that we know of. And Rich, I don't know, for the city planning and zoning, is there any new ones? Highway A here, maybe? Anything official at this point?
Well, the 272 apartments, I don't know if that's just those apartments that are there now, or does that include the houses and the?
It was supposed to be all the new.
Oh, that's all, everything,
Yeah.
that's the newest thing, I think.
Okay, that's all we know of at
As
this
of right
point.
now, yeah.
But you know, on 47, there's 40 acres for sale, 20 acres for sale. I can see those easily becoming subdivisions. So, you know, I just think we're on kind of a cusp of growth coming. So we own property up north there. It's large enough for an elementary school easily. And so construction costs are coming down. But if we do $400 a square foot, we're looking at $36 million to build the school. Financing right now, this is what we anticipate, but after assessments come out in August, we'll know a lot better picture of what our actual bonding looks like and the financing behind that. But we can do $37.5 million. But this would be a multi-year project, and so the financing will kind of have to work out. But we can get $37 million, no tax increase. And it might even go to 40 million if assessments come in high. So we'll see kind of where that number is, and then how the bonds roll out over the next 4 or 5 years.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
before you-
yeah.
On the bonds, the money per year, is that all we can spend per year?
Well, that's kind of what we have to work through. So what we'll have is LJ Hart come out to us in September probably and talk to us fully about it. What we would do is we can get the money, we can get $10 million in 2024, and that'd pay for most of the project, and then we'd get another $10 million in 2025. And if that doesn't cover the cost of the building, we would have to do an interest loan only for a little bit. So it might cost us $100,000, couple $100,000 to get the remaining, $37 million. So let's say the project only costs $25 million. So we'd only have to borrow $5 million, then we would draw in 2027 the money then, and we wouldn't do any interest only loan at that point. So this is all based off our assessed value. And so these numbers are based off a 2% increase in assessed value. And we're anticipating about 4% probably after it's all done, but increase in assessed value. So those numbers should fluctuate and change. And that's why we need to wait.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure though that we were stipulated only with that money that year.
That year, right. So that's when we could draw the bonds down.
Okay.
But our local banks do a great job working with us, and they can give us a very good rate on a loan, and then we would just be able to get it built and get the project going.
So when we would go out and ask the community, are we going out all of those years, or we're going out once and
One
they're
time.
pre-approving the future?
Pre-approve, basically, we're asking for them to approve a no tax increase, 37.5, it might be 40 million, whatever that number ends up being, to build an elementary school up there. And this is how we're going to finance it. Like I said, LJ Hart will be able to tell us more specifically on how that would work. But we could do a couple of things. If we don't want to do the interest-only payment, we could basically build in phases. We could build one wing, 20 million, and then come back and do another bid for the second wing. I don't really like that. I think we'll lose money in construction cost. I think we're actually ahead by doing the interest-only loan, by just getting the whole project done at one time. But that's something we could discuss as a board, what direction we want to go. And then go from there. So, and it all depends on the bids too, and how the bids come in. My phone is ringing. Anybody else? So it's like Dr. Ross got
phone
that.
is ringing.
Yeah. So take a break to check your phones. So anyway, we'll know more on the financing, but we definitely are for sure can get the project done in the next 5 years. Either we do it in phases, where we would move early childhood up for a little while, and then we would move Dana, do the second phase and Dana Boone, or do the project all at one time. So there's a couple ways to get the project done. And if we do it all, no tax increase. But that would be, the idea is to eventually get that building built and everything done there. So timeline, so we're looking at about 30 months probably from today. Well, and this is another thing we'll need to discuss if we want to move forward with this project, is how quickly and how much do we want to spend up front to, you know, have the borings done on the ground, all the work that goes behind it. So we're looking to, hopefully we'd have it open in 25, 26. But those are all things to kind of discuss if this is a project we want to move forward with. Right now today, all we're asking is this a project we want to move forward with? And then we'll continue to discuss this over the next few months to really fine tune our timeline. Because this would be in April 24, so we're about 10 months away from an election. Other needs that we'd hope to do, you know, just a bunch of stuff. You know, we got HVAC things, roofing, you know, and we can kind of talk about all these things later. Purchasing additional property for future needs. All depends on how much it costs to build the building. So the building costs $37 million, but we're not doing a whole lot of that. But if the building is $25 million, we go okay. So we toured Wabash. They did that building 6 years ago for $18 million. Everyone's just says double price, you know, so which is hard for me to believe. I can't believe that we're still just doubling the price of everything. So, but anyway, that's kind of what people were saying. And then kind of just some other information. We've done 2 kind of community engagement works with this, just to remember. We had our first one where anybody in the community could come talk to us about this. Then we had one with our leaders that we invited, our community leaders. And I think the consensus has generally been that this is the direction that they would like to see us go. But that's really the presentation, just kind of get everybody up to speed and happy to see what you think.
So after touring Wabash Elementary in Wentzville School District, I was probably one of the things, I don't know if I shared with everybody, but one of the things that surprised me is for a 6-year-old building, it was already full and over full, and it was built with the intent of being able to house quite a few more people, right? So, and then that just, the mindset of growth, right? I'm not comparing us to Wentzville by any means from a growth perspective, but you know, when that day comes, and I think we all know it's going to come, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 40 years down the road, right? I don't think we can be too proactive to plan ahead and plan for growth, because it's, I mean, we see it, we see the houses, we see the additional subdivisions, all those sorts of things. So that was one thing that stuck out to me that I would be in favor of continuing to explore this project, just from an expansion perspective, planning on growth, realizing the Daniel Boone building is older than most of us in the room, if not all of us in the room. So its days are numbered too, right?
All of us in the room.
Well, and I know in the past we talked about expanding our pre-K program, and we've like thought through, do we pass a bond to just do a pre-K building? And so I think that this really does hit expanding our pre-K program by housing them in a larger building, as well as anticipating growth by placing a brand new elementary that can be expanded upon pretty easily.
Right, because we wouldn't build it out as far as Wabash is
No.
now. We don't need it that big,
Right,
but it's
right.
easy to add on to because the plans are already drawn that
Right.
way. So,
Add the phases.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly. So you just add more classrooms on the
Right.
back.
right.
And that's the same kind of idea with our, my microphone's on. That's kind of the same idea with our current high school, is you just keep adding wings, you know, just keep adding on and out.
Well, I'll make the motion pending funding availability using a no-tax increased bond issue to build an elementary school on the property the district owns north of Highway 70.
Thank you, Rich.
I'll second.
Thank you, Deanna. There's a motion and a second to pending funding availability, use a no tax increase bond issue to build an elementary school on the property the district owns north of Highway 70. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I didn't do a roll call vote because I thought we were all on the same page, so thank you all for that. And then we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we'll talk about this a lot. This will be kind of our big lift for the year.
Okay, we need a new member to represent the board on the WISE Foundation, correct?
That's correct. I do not have a recommendation because I don't know who wants to do it. We'd like to thank Sarah for her time. Sarah spent 2 years doing WISE, and the WISE board requires 2 board members to sit on the WISE Foundation board.
And Ginger, you're still serving on that board, right? So we need somebody to join Ginger.
It's a once a month meetings, pretty much August through May. She keeps it, our current WISE president keeps it to about an hour or less. And you get to be a part of, you're the Oprah Winfrey of Warren County R3, just throwing money around. Everyone gets a car. You get to be a part of handing out sizable scholarships to our seniors,
Yeah.
as well as some really awesome grants to our teachers. And so it is a very exciting, rewarding foundation. And the people on it are some really awesome community members that just go above and beyond for our students and teachers. So it was 100% something that I enjoyed serving on for 2 years. Ginger's been serving.
I've lost count.
Long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, she's been serving for a long time. So I would definitely recommend doing it.
Anybody
Well,
want
sound like she was self-appointing
to jump
herself
up?
again.
No,
Jumping right back in
she's
there.
got,
How do you want to do
I have other things I gotta funnel some energy into, so
What night did you say?
it's typically the second Monday.
At 6,
at
That's
6.
6 to
Yeah.
7.
I can.
Oh, Deanna just
You're gonna-
volunteered. Did you
you're
hear
gonna
that?
enjoy it.
Great.
Thank you.
You will like it.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank
It's
you.
Got to
wonderful.
talk to people too.
Okay.
So somebody will come in.
So
Yes,
that-
yeah.
yeah,
We'll
I'm sure.
communicate with Carmen.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Lucy will let
Yeah.
somebody know who.
Do you mean here?
Greg and I
Yeah.
will
Yeah,
come
we-
to it too, so.
Yes.
it'll be a good
Yeah, we'll be
time.
here.
Yeah.
All right.
And Ginger for it, so
And
good
Ginger,
time.
Okay, thank you. That was easy. Okay. So we have policy first reads.
Yes, just, most of these policies are MSBA recommendations. I think all of them are, right? Just roll up here, make sure I'm not misspeaking. But yeah, most of these are all about changes to laws that were passed and now in place. A lot of them have to do with the new reading intervention law that's in place in K-5. That's the reason we purchased a STAR assessment for that, the same laws in place. So these are the policies that go with that. There's some virtual course and dual credit kind of laws. Trying to think what else changed here. Just basically new laws, like we have to do a Holocaust Education Week starting the 25-26 school year, just things like that.
Will we be able to, so for that last one that you said, would our curriculum team, since we have a couple of years between here and there, would they be able to help organize what that would look like, or how
For sure.
would we do that? Because there's also supposed to be PD on that.
Right, so what will mostly happen, just knowing kind of how things function in the area, is there's a group called the St. Louis Area Curriculum Coordinators Association, and they tackle kind of some of these state level things that everyone has to work on. And they'll come up with a few ideas and share those out. It's just a collaboration of different curriculum coordinators that, hey, what's everybody doing for Holocaust Education Week? And then they just collaborate and share. And so that's kind of what will probably come out of that group, is some ideas on that. And I'm sure the state will also be putting out model curriculum behind it as well. So, yeah, so that's, 25, 26 sounds like far away, but it really is
It's
not.
not. Any other questions on that? We'll vote on that next meeting. But does anybody else have any questions, or we can of course discuss it more next time if something comes up, something comes to your mind. So moving on to miscellaneous, first thing is celebrations.
Recently, a few of us board members were able to attend Alpha Academy's ceremony in which it was celebrating the completers, the people who completed the program, and so that night we celebrated 39 students completing Alpha Academy. But Dr. Alfred contacted us and let us know that 41 students have now completed the program, and so they're also allowed to walk and be receiving their diploma in 2 days. But it was a special ceremony, and it was in the smaller room, intimate with their teachers and with their administrator, with their families. The room was electric. People were so excited, and it was a wonderful program. Very proud of what they were able to accomplish at Alpha Academy.
And I'd like to just comment that I've just been watching on Facebook and stuff, and plus I kind of went around and seen a couple of just excited to see all the coaches having their camps and stuff, and good turnouts. I saw some pictures in the paper today. Just the enthusiasm of the community behind the coaches with the kids, the number of kids coming out, and so not picking any one of them out because I don't want to leave anybody out, but I know that almost all of them are doing something this summer to sell the program, and that's what it's all about, getting kids and their families involved. So good job to the coaches and their staffs.
I met with the leadership team at Blackhawk on Monday, and I was impressed with how many people came on their own time. I mean, school's out, right? But there was a big group there, and they're trying really hard to just sort of reset and be positive. I know you were at a meeting earlier before school was out, Carolyn, and I told them I was proud of them and that we were behind them. We all want Blackhawk to be great. So they're working hard. If nobody else has anything, then we have our work session topics for the 29th of this month, right?
Yeah, we'll have to approve our budget then, and then the bond issue I just put on there is, so we probably just need to talk about it every month.
Okay.
What time does that start?
We typically start at 5, but we can start whenever you would like.
I better edit that then.
Are we gonna,
Physical calendar.
Yeah, okay.
were we gonna talk some more about safety? Does that kind of go with the bond issue stuff?
It can, I mean, we have to have a safe room in this building.
I know, but we kind of talked about safety a little bit before, like,
With the goals.
yes, and then we said we might talk about that some more later. I don't know if we're gonna have
We
time.
can do that, we need to make probably a closed session item to talk about security for that.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
you're right.
we could do closed session after open session. It's fine.
Okay.
And we might have a personnel issue there too, probably wouldn't hurt to have that.
Yeah, probably wouldn't hurt to have a closed session scheduled in there, and then if we decide we don't need it,
Yeah.
that's okay too, right? I bet that's mandatory work night at the fair, isn't it? Okay. You better get ready now. Okay, so we need to set our next regular meeting. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to set the next regular board meeting to July 13th, 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jeff seconded, thank you. So the motion's been made and seconded to set the next regular board meeting on July 13, 2023. Why do I not have that on here? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right. Need a motion for the closed session?
I'll move to set the next closed session to immediately proceed, July 13th, 2020.
I'll second.
Rich, did you second that?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to set the next closed session to immediately precede the July 13 regular board meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Rich, thank you.
Second.
Jeff, thank you. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Nobody's opposed, right? Meeting's adjourned, thank you.
Pretty good.
Just because. Just
Sounds
because.
like that.
Mhm.
You have a lot of stuff to sign.
Okay.
Don't be, you got stuff to sign, right?
Carol, did you want to go? Okay, when's a good time? We can probably get over there. To go
I mean, I wanted her.
Oh, the phone call? Oh, I thought you were,
I thought about saying
okay,
something to her,
like,
but
you're
then
like the
I
only
thought,
one that shows
I
up.
know, she's embarrassed.
She goes to Spain.
She doesn't pay me.
Yeah, right, well, I think, got it. I've been particularly, but anyway,
I saw her come in.
okay.
She's
You might not hear what the other one was.
acting. She acted as big a jerk as herself. Did that come out loud?
Yeah, nobody-
We're not in session. I wonder if they go. I guess you can during session too.
Okay, we'll check on that.
I did too.
I'll have to check it out.
She doesn't, we should be ashamed of ourselves for saying it was okay. We were just going along with the recommendation. Yeah, I know, but she had to come in and
Hey, Mike, can I see Sam's around?
be embarrassing.
I sent it to, Brad.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Okay.
I don't know if papers is in.
I wanted to.
Okay. Lloyd Briggs, Dallas Briggs, you're right. Yes.
Awesome. Did you get it right?
As far as I know, yeah.
I'll double check. Thank you, sir.
99% sure.
Yeah, that's always fun. Thanks,
The Kessler was.
I'll let you. Okay. I did not get a text from Brad.
I mean,
Did you get a text?
I haven't gotten a text, I got the call.
Good. Get an email.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it right. You leave it all out, we'll put it all up. Just-
Good, yeah.
Fantastic.
Hey,
Oh, thanks.
will you sub for me on your fan,
Nick.
Yeah, did she make some good times? And I'll check with them. I know Fridays are closed. An hour or 90. Yeah. Hey guys, at graduation, you guys will be there at 9. That'll give us time to invite all the kids and everything.
And we're supposed to figure out who was coming back to the house.
We'll do that at 9. So typically what
Yeah,
happens.
I
is
did.
I do know it's good. I know it's not now, yeah. I know, I did. No.
I mean, I know
We know you.
Well,
I know. I just don't have.
No, but
Oh,
it's
God.
Yeah, so you can
Freeze
vote.
out, yes, what you're trying to do.
And when
Oh,
they're
yeah,
just
and then
sit down
whenever
on the
that
side.
happens.
So when we get there,
I'm like, okay. So we got to know people longer than this. I do know it's okay.
graduates by 6, and then,
I'm not the one.
Oh, this is one of them. Which one goes well, we're outside.
we're not gonna school. Good.
And then people bring me. Yeah, it's the biggest event in Orange. By far.
Yeah.
Jim, what?
Yeah. Yeah, that is hard to keep together.
Hey, Jim, how are you? Have a good night.
It'll be 3 years.
Good, oh, glad to hear that. Yeah.
Katie was always wondering. High school, so that's
All right, Ginger.
Yeah, don't text me now.
No.
Hey, Brad, Brad, did you send an email and text, or did you
Yeah,
just do
well,
phone call?
thank you, I'm always glad to hear.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice to hear positive things